I know it's hard to get out at night sometimes, but I know that the Meyer after this will draw some people to come. We're calling this meeting because we have very, very exciting news. I'm sure you know that's why you're here. After many years, it looks like we are about to purchase a property for the Shul's future home. The Shul's been around for about 13 years, and the Shul's never had its own home. The Shul's rented. The Shul's been in basements. The Shul's rented by Dr. Deutsch for many years, and the Shul's over here. Currently, we have about, 2 years, 9 months, and about 10 days to be out of here. So the clock is ticking, and we do need our own space for many reasons. Mirz Hashem, as you'll hear from a representative of the building committee, the new space, although it's in its infancy of design, is a large space for our shul. It's going to offer nice amenities, as you will see. And I'm sure there are many, many, many questions that you have. Some we have the answers to, and some we don't. Some of you might be wondering why the Rav's not here. It's because this all happened within the past couple of weeks, and if anybody knows real estate a little bit, you can't really wait too long to make a purchase. So even though this is a very large step and a very big step for our shul, the Rav's away, and we couldn't wait for him to be here because we have to make this decision ASAP. That's why we're coming to the shul.
He knows about it.
He knows about it. He knows about it. He's behind it. And so we're coming to the shul to get the shul's go-ahead, because we do need the shul's go-ahead, and we need everybody to be in this, to support it, to get behind it, to rally behind this cause. We're going to need a lot of money. We're going to need a lot of support. We're going to need people going above and beyond whatever they can do, and you'll definitely hear about a lot more about this campaign over the next coming months and years in Mirz Hashem. I just want to give you an update on the shul. Since we moved, I don't know, again, people become members, people join the shul for many different reasons. Since we moved, our paying membership has gone up by 15%. So, Mirz Hashem, hopefully with our own place, it will go up even more, and over the coming years, it will go up even more than that. But that's just a nice number to throw out there, just from the past couple months. Something nice that has happened. Now, the reason why I'm sure not everybody's aware of this, but the board is not undertaking this project. The board has appointed a building committee consisting of 4 individuals. That is Eli Klein, David Blumenthal, Mayor Deutsch, and Yankee Wurtzel. They will be spearheading this project. Mirz Hashem, from its inception all the way to its completion and beyond. The board will have oversight of the project. All finances will be double checked, and everything will have checks and balances. But everybody's on board for this, and you will be hearing tonight from David Blumenthal, a representative of the building committee. And without further ado, David.
You will actually be hearing from more than me, but let's dive right into it. The first question that we've been asked since this wonderfully written email went out or announcement went out is, where is this building? What is going on here? And as probably, I would guess at this point, 90% of the people in this room probably know the answer, but I will answer right now anyway. It is right across the street from here at 5 Tennyson. It's the corner of Tennyson and Main Avenue. So the second question, once people found out where it is, they said, but that's a very small house. And when you look at it, it does seem to be a very small house. However, when you look at the site plan and you look at the actual dimensions of the property, it's not quite as small as it seems. And when we actually knock down what's there and you look at the footprint of what you can put on there, it's actually, believe it or not, adequate enough, more than adequate for what we need. And we'll get into that a little further with our detailed drawings that Yankee has made up for us already. Obviously, pending architectural review and city review. But there are definitely some hurdles we're going to have to get through to make this happen. But as Yechiel mentioned, we can't wait in real estate, so Ellie took the plunge and made sure that we didn't wait. We are in a stage right now where I think we're officially in attorney's review, So we do have a little bit of time. When I say a little bit, I mean I think until tomorrow to actually make a decision. It's laughable, but it's the way real estate works. If you wait, you snooze, you lose. So there are several reasons why we feel this is a adequate or a good location for us. Number one is location. Look around. We've always said we want to be within this general area. There's not a lot. We all know that. We've been looking for years. Thank God we're here now, but as Yechiel mentioned, we're here for a very limited time. This building, when it came up, we looked at it, and it wasn't really in the cards, and probably a little above our budget. But so we got to look and be a little bit more realistic. Being on Main Avenue, on the corner of Main Avenue and Tennyson, affords us a little bit of a leeway. I'll speak from a this is not. This is definitely, I can't give my stamp for approval, but from a zoning perspective, that house is actually the first house that is out of the commercial zone, which is in the residential zone. That being said, even though a house of worship is allowed both, it's an inherently good use, it's allowed both in a commercial and a residential zone, it's obviously easier to get past in a commercial zone. But now that you're on the border, it's very easy to kind of extend that over and say, it's right here, it's right on the commercial, and it shouldn't be much of an issue. We are fortunate enough to be right across the street from the JFS building that we're currently in. JFS has already agreed to give us use of parking during our regular davening time, Shabbos, Yom Tiv, as well as the morning, like we have now. The evenings after 9 p.m., again, like we would have had if we had a minion right now, we do have access to the parking lot, and we'll continue to have that. They've agreed to that. We will try to put some parking by us. Obviously, it would not be enough, but there's street parking, but that's not something that any board wants to hear, that you're going to use the street parking, because, as we know, it's at a premium here in the city of Passaic. We've gone through several different renditions already. Yankees put together, other people have put in their input of what the shul can look like, but we do feel that this is definitely something that can accommodate. It can accommodate in terms of size, in terms of location, as I mentioned, in terms of size. It's equatable, if not larger, than the current space that we're actually using here. We'd be able to build not only a shul like this, but we'd be able to have a second floor balcony where the women are, which would actually give us a little more space. It would give the women a little more space, the men a little more space, and we can have something that we're seriously missing here, which is a simcha hall. Something that, it wasn't the most beautiful thing when we were down the block at 170 Main, but it was definitely something nice that we didn't actually have to finish davening in order to start moving everything around and setting up. We also have the issue here that we don't have access really during the week, and that's something with our own building we would have. I think those are the main points that I want to hit. Obviously, we'll get into it. I want to have Yankee show you a rendering. This way we can actually take a look and see what we're talking about. Will this suffice for us? Is this good for us? Following that, Ellie will go through and he'll speak to us a little about the numbers, about the financing, about what it'll take to get this done. Obviously, it will take everyone in this room plus. We need everyone's help and everyone to be on board with this. And after that, we'll have a question and answer portion as well. So if I can turn over the microphone, so to speak, to Yankee, he'll bring up the sketch that he's made, hopefully. And we can go through it.
Thanks. All right. Just go quickly through it. Not much. I know Ellie promised a 3D show. I don't know why. So everyone's welcome to my Prime account to watch a cartoon afterwards. But for now, it's really about trying to play with a lot of learnings that we had, frankly, over the years doing seating and the needs for shul. So the corner of that lot, there's a couple options. I mean, just on a quick mock-up visually, this is the kind of property theoretically.
And here's our 3D video.
Consider yourself 3D, right? So you can see, aside from the setbacks. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay,
This is Tennyson, right here.
The frontage will be on Tennyson, and the siding building will be on Main.
And then the reason for that, I'm going to go right to that side, is because there's a precedent for being able to build commercial properties up to Main Avenue without a setback. So that's something that we feel is, or we think that with a minimal setback is something we could get by, because you look down the block, well, the bank and other buildings have minimal setbacks on the Main Avenue side, and that's right here, the Main Avenue side of the street. There's a theory that there's a possibility we could open up perhaps another egress lot in the back. It's unlikely, but something that definitely worth thinking about. But the idea here is that the shul itself, enough with rotating 3D buildings, let's talk about the shul itself. So the shul itself has some, again, super, you know, this is a concept sketch, nothing more. Let me get into this real quick, and then let this establish. There's a slight rotation here, so just to give you your bearings, this is Tennyson, right? And this is Main. That's the corner of the lot. So you can see the lot's a very odd shaped lot. There's a few different renderings. This rendering is a version where we try to stick a couple of parking spots right up front. There's a version where we could throw parking in the back, like we saw in that 3D rendering. But let's just jump right into it. The first thing the sketch tries to do is give us a more pleasant shape to the shul. I think it's important to just talk about that. So zooming right into the shul itself, it's more of a square. I think from the current experience right here, I think a very long, narrow, not narrow, but a longer shape was more difficult for us. You can't hear so well and stuff like that. So it's a more square shape. The current seating configuration fits very comfortably with almost 4 feet, 3.5 feet per, between rows, 121 seats, which is already about 10 more than we have here. We could easily go to 140 with very minimal adjustments, and then at like max capacity, if we had to squeeze, or maybe a Mariah, whatever it is, so that you get to about 165 seats in here.
And that's just the Met.
Just the Met, and then the design here is obviously accommodates that scaling. So, for example, these rows show a 3.5 feet distance. They work with the door to you can fit another row with 3 foot, and then so on. What you're looking at here is basically the shul as you enter from the side right here. There's some farm shelves as you walk in. You have a bima platform. Again, this is concept where you enter the center of the shul. Up here, you have a little raised platform for the Aron Kodesh, and the Aron Kodesh is over here with a little spot for the Rav to speak, and then the Chazin's over here, and the Rav's over here. Very similar layout in terms of the basic layout of, Kish Eliyahu, the Rav layout. There are this tiny aisle, try to maximize aisles because everyone always wants an aisle seat. So that's definitely something that's went into the design to try to figure out how to get the most aisles. It's assuming furniture is you're using the Aguda tables or the Abbas tables, if you're familiar with that. It's basically an 8-foot table, but you pull in the legs by a few inches each side, you can fit 5 seats on those comfortably on these tables. And you can see that this is what Aguda does and Abbas does as well. So as a base measure goes, it's a pretty nice size. It's a great shape. This farm go in the back. There's an additional entrance back here designed for latecomers like me maybe, or other use. But you also have a thought here is additional entrance over here. There's some area here that again this concept, but you could rope off a ezes nashim on the side over here for someone that can't get up some steps. For Shabbos, Yom Tov, someone's here that a relative that's for the women's section on the main floor. It's a little option here to corner off a little section here. Heading into the property, the most important thing to keep in mind here is that the second floor, I'll show the second floor in a second, covers up to roughly here. So you're looking at most of this area here will be 2 stories high, which is just I'll tell you, it's a beautiful feeling to walk into a raised ceiling like that. The nice thing to keep in mind here is the entryway. The entryway here, this whole area here, up to here, is also 2 stories high. There's no second story on top of this. So you walk in, even though it's a relatively small space, about 9 feet here in the little vestibule. It's tall and it gives a feeling of sort of roominess. There's a coat closet here, some cubbies. But as you walk in, you have the option to go into shul, go towards the back, head down towards the simcha hall downstairs, or head up towards the women's section up here. In the back, there's an additional staircase that goes down to the basement. fire egress is important to have, and it also goes up to the women's section, so there's an additional entrance on towards the women's section with the fire exit back here to a swing set. That's the concept. Back here on the main floor, there's a men's bathroom. If you want to just picture it, the easiest way to picture it is this is exact dimensions that they have right here in JFS. You want to walk into here, it's the same layout, same design, same specs. So it's fairly comfortable. And then you have a either a women's or a unisex ADA bathroom on the first floor, again, because you can't send the steps, you need to have that on the first floor. So that's in concept what some thoughts of the kind of thing we're trying to accommodate. Basically, a more comfortable shul. You can see from the footprint a fairly large and comfortable simcha hall. And real quick, jump to the second floor. So if you remember, you walk in through here. All this is open to below. All of it is open to below here. All is open to below here. So as you walk in, you walk up the steps here to the women's section. Under the women's section here, you have a small area here, a separate additional coat hanger, a little area here, an entrance over here, a women's bathroom over here, the second staircase, as we mentioned before, going down, and an additional entrance right here. But the women's section here fits north of 70 people very comfortably, so you can see clearly a very different kind of thing than what we used to squeeze in Yemen Royam and try to accommodate. So this is, you could even put tables here. The design has one table up front. You can have tables when you're up there, absolutely. It's fairly comfortable layout.
Is that flat or stadium seating like another?
So the assumption now is flat, but again, it's concept. It could, anything is possible. I don't have a design for it, and I apologize. But if you think of the footprint, it takes a little more imagination. So if you imagine you're going down the steps here, right, or you're going down over here, right, you're going down here. So the basement entrance will be over here and over here, but the basement size is basically the entire footprint of the shul. And figuring, if you notice the women's bathroom, of the entire place, I'm just saying as far as the hall, usable hall simcha space, try to stack all the plumbing and sewer line in one line. You can notice all the bathrooms are stacked. So the women's bathroom on top of the men's bathroom, next to the ADA bathroom, and straight down to where the kitchen would be. Again, to save sort of cost on running the plumbing and stuff like that, all in one stack. And this is the full simcha. I mean, you could have a real nice full simcha hall. Yes, the kitchen will be in line with the plumbing, obviously, for the same reason. So second floor is the bathroom, then first floor is the men's bathroom, and then below that will be kitchen, storage area, and then a very large, beautiful simcha hall. That's it.
Do you know the square footage of this of like the shul first floor here? And then I'm wondering just what it is compared to where we're at the space we're in now.
It's a great question. So for that, I'm going to zoom in. Glad you asked. Right here. So just some basic comparables. If you want to look at the JFS shuls, we're 29 feet wide right here to get a sense, and we're 64 up to right here where we put the mechitza typically. That's the dimensions, 1856. This is you can see a much more of a square shape. It's 40 by 47. That calculates 1880, but you notice some odd shapes. The total square foot is actually 1978. So it's roughly, slightly larger, but significantly more comfortable in the shape and design. Where
More efficient.
Yeah, we have the luxury of being able to design around our needs, so we're able to design exactly around the specs of the tables and aisles. The women's section is the biggest transformation, frankly. Is we're going from, even here was probably double our old space right here, which is basically 377 square feet, which is the space we're sitting in right over here. But that goes up to a little north of 560 square feet. A very comfortable setup for the women.
Thanks.
What about playrooms for the kids?
So
they're not running the halls.
Right. So the second floor has a concept where a little more of like just an area if you're going with an infant or if you're going with an infant or a child down here. There's theories like Mary's bring up now. There's a theory if we want to not leave this whole thing open, we could easily put a play area here. We could also easily carve out space in the basement if we design it that way. Depends on. There's a lot of options. We have a lot of options to do that.
I mean, the second floor, you also can instead of having the entire thing open, moving it forward to 2 rows, where behind the bima is where it starts, so you can get a tremendous amount of
If
space
you-
there and put classrooms there.
Totally, a lot of options. Yeah, we want to give a good line of sight to the bima for
Let's,
for
let's,
bima purposes. Bima purposes.
let's just try to hold questions until the end. We'll have Ellie, if Yankee, if you're done. Okay,
Done.
excellent. Yankee's, thank you, Yankee, for that presentation. Ellie's going to go through a little of the finances right now for us.
Okay. Okay, before we begin, I just want to give a very big thank you to some of the people that really made this happen. First of all, Yaakov Meir Brisman, he's not here, but I can tell you he's very instrumental in getting a lot of this done as well. The JFS for giving us the parking, Moshe Lukids, the board and the committee worked very hard. I can tell Yankee spent a lot of hours on this. Okay, fine. Every plan needs a budget. All right, so we got to figure out how much is this shul going to cost us. Now, we have to keep in mind, we have to understand that all these numbers are estimated. When you do a plan, when you do a project, there's no way you can figure out exactly how much it costs. It's almost like buying a lottery ticket and hitting it on the exact number. So we can try to estimate it, get a ballpark figure, and then we have to figure a little bit more or a little bit less. That's what it's going to cost us. So I'm here today to tell you the approximate number. Please don't come over to me after the whole project was done and say, well, you were off by 20 cents over here or $50 over here. I couldn't care less. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. Hopefully those numbers are actually accurate. But that's the way it is. That's the way the project works. By the way, if you can't hear me in the back, just let me know to raise my voice or just argue with me and I'll scream back. One or the other. Okay, so the only definite number we have right now is a property purchase, which is $345,000. That's what's going to cost us to buy the property. I can tell you, I've looked at other properties, and nothing was south of $500,000. So this is a very, very good deal. They actually originally were asking $400,000. I got them down to $345,000. So it's a very, very good number, and anybody that knows any real estate in Passaic will realize that is a very good number to get a property that's off Main Avenue. It helps us because it's commercial. It may not help the average homeowner, but for us as a shul, it helps us a lot with the setbacks, of course, in JFS. So it's really a perfect opportunity that we have. We lose this, and we're in hot water. Fine. So the purchase price is $345,000. Then if you add in all the demolition, the construction cost, furniture, and all the other stuff, guys, you ready for this number? We figured out about $1.6 million, between 1.5 and $1.6 million was the estimate. That's right. It is very, very expensive.
That
That
includes
includes the purchase. It includes everything. It includes approximate on Kaddish. It includes the furniture. It includes, dealing with the variances, dealing with the city, dealing with the county. Again, guys, it's an estimate. It could go $300,000 less. It could go $300,000 more. That's why we really, really have to be dedicated. We really have to make sure that we're ready to do this. You can't back out in the middle. Once we go ahead with this, we move on with the contract. That's it. We got to do this. No backing out. We've worked out with Valley National Bank. They're going to, hopefully for now, that's the way it looks like. They're going to be the lending partner on this. They're working out for 70% LTV, which is loan to value. They're going to lend us 70% of the total cost of the full property, including construction costs and anything else minus furniture. Is it relevant, Avi?
Do we know how much it costs to put up the new building?
The building itself?
We know the number, what it
So
costs
we
to
don't
put
really
that
figure
up.
out how much it costs, we figure out per square foot. How much did it cost per square foot? How much did it cost JFS to put up their building? So I've actually gone around, I've asked a bunch of builders, and I can tell you the prices are so different. I've got from $150 a square foot up to $250 a square foot and north. So it's a little bit hard. It depends how you want to do it, how you want to budget out, and all that. I can tell you, Mayor over here has done a lot of projects. Mayor Deutsch has done a lot of projects. And if anybody can figure out a cost, eventually how much it would cost, he's the one. Most of his projects are from the ground all the way up, so he knows a lot about it. So we're relying on Mayor to give us, as we move along, to figure out the exact cost. But, Mayor's estimation was about $1 million just for the construction phase, plus all the other costs involved. Variances, attorneys, and all that. So again, just back to where we were, the estimation is about $1.6 million. Based on that, we need a total equity. We need cash to close this deal, not to close the deal, but to fund the 30% of the LTV of $550,000. That's right, $550,000. Now I'll go through the numbers in a couple minutes, how we got them. Just the baseline, the prepaid expenses, which are taxes, water, just to get to the closing is about $9,000. Then the closing costs, which is title insurance, survey, recording fees, appraisal, bank fees. Bank fees alone is a big number. They charge 0.5%. That alone is $30,000. That brings us to $42,000. Variance costs. to get the variance, to get architectural drawings to run up to $10,000, attorney fees to go down to court, whether it's the city or the county, depending if you want to make that extra driveway, which Yankee showed us before. That's another $10,000 just for the attorney fees involved. Those are the big numbers. Now, timeline. How long is this going to take us? It's going to take us 1 month, 2 years, 5 years? So to figure out the timeline, we broke it down into the close of the property. How long does it take us to close on the property? Approximately 3 months. To get the variances, another 3 months. And the construction phase is about 2 years. We're figuring out 2.5 years for the whole thing. But just to get back to the mortgage information, should I skip a little bit? So the loan amount will be about $1.2 million approximately. We are required to have one guarantor on the loan. We already have that, thank you. Mortgage structure and rate, we're trying to work out the rate with the bank. It looks like we're having a pretty good rate, which is 200 basis points above the 5-year treasury. I can tell you that is a very good rate. Most banks don't give 200 basis points above. I've never gotten less than 2.25 on most of my average deals, so 2 basis points is pretty good deal. Valley National really wants to pull this deal because they're in the community, so they want to get, they figure if they get us the deal, a lot of people will sign up to banks. We'll sign up and open up checking accounts. Say that again?
You can't hear.
Oh, okay, fine, no problem. Sorry, Sadanya. Okay, during the construction phase and while we own the property, the good thing is we worked out we're only going to have to pay interest only. So it's going to cut down a lot since we're not paying principal and interest. We're just paying interest on the loan. It's kind of hard to have a loan and plus pay rent over here while we're here. So it does help us out. Once we close on the loan, so while we're paying the interest, it's WSJ, which is the Wall Street Journal's prime plus 1.5, works out to about 6.5% for the construction loan. Once we get all that done, we close that loan, we move on to phase 3, which is the completion, phase 4, which is the completion of the property. Then we bounce back into a 5-year treasury plus 200 basis points. By the way, the 5-year treasury I just checked as of Friday was 2.84. So plus 200 basis points is 4.84%. Anyone writing that down? The term is a 25-year. That's the best we can do. I try to get a 30. They can't do it. It's a 5-5-15, which every 5-year renews itself. The first 2 cycles of 5-year renews itself, and then it jumps into a 15. Hopefully it stays low. In all commercial loans, they don't do a 30-year lock like they do in homeowner mortgage rates. Right. Well, you can refine that also. So again, first 2 years, during the construction phase, it's interest only, and afterwards, it's principal and interest. Now, the principal here's the number that we should all be looking at. The principal, and well, the first number is the equity, $550,000 is what we need to raise, and also the mortgage payments once we close on this deal, once we finish a completion. Now, so now our rent bill is about $4,000 we pay JFS per month, plus the costs and all that to operate it, air conditioning, whatever we split out with them. Here is the big issue: is the principal and interest on this loan would be north of $6,000 on a $1.1 million loan, which would be north of $6,000.
You're only paying on what you draw.
What?
You're only paying on what you draw. So it's not $6,000 a month.
No, I said
like
after
what?
completion. Once the completion.
On the assumption that we draw it at the end.
While we're interest only payments, our payments would be up to maximum of about $3,000, which I figured out the interest only would be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 throughout the construction phase as you work it along. So the big number is the $6,000. That's only it's only a year or two we can try to put through. It's a $6,000. Can we afford it? Can we not? So again, the 2 numbers we have to be concerned about: can we raise the money, and could we afford the mortgage payments as well? So I took it upon myself to figure out the Shul income and expense. Could we afford it or not? So based on a lot of these numbers are projected numbers based on what we currently have and what we will have once we move in there. Now, currently we have 47 paying members. I just confirmed that with Eugene this morning, right? 47 paying members, right? That brings in a total of $28,200. Now, assuming we bump that up, we get, let's say, 55 members. Not necessarily the first day, but we're talking about as we move along. Let's say we bump it up to 55 or even 60. And we raise the membership. Again, the board's going to have to decide that. If it's okay, we'll probably ask we raise the membership a little bit. Let's say we can generate $21,300 extra on top of that. All right, so that helps us out from what we were before to what we are now. Again, we're just trying to figure out how we can get more money so that we can pay this extra expense. Okay, now we have the annual Yom Kippur appeals, we have pledges, Shabbos Mishabeirachs, we have Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur Sukkahs. This year alone, I confirmed with one of the people on the board, we generated $15,000 just for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur and Sukkahs. That's a big plus. Hopefully we get the same people that racked up the bill this year. We come again next year. Speaking for all of us. Anyways, Pesach, Shavuos, again, Yom Tovim, again, we added that number in there. Nelam Ar, also renting out the hall. Less collections, people that don't pay, we have to get, people that don't mark, people that leave the shul and don't pay. We figured out a gross income of, again, $107,000. Again, it's a projected number of what we feel the shul should be able to gain within a year of after we move in. Expenses, so now we have the number of $107,000. Expenses, property taxes, as you know, once we're a non-for-profit, there are no property taxes, so we get that wiped off. Insurance, gas and electric, water and sewer repairs, maintenance, all the extra stuff to come along with a shul. It's $23,000 approximately is what our expenses would be, based on what we have now to a little bit, more income, more expenses for a bigger shul and bigger maintenance. Now the debt service, which is the mortgage, would cost us about $76,000, $872 exactly a year based on that interest rate. So we're left with a cash flow of about $7,000. So it's very tight. Again, all you need is one thing to throw it up. The collections are a little bit more than 5% or anything like that. So obviously we would have to rely on people's goodwill to pay up to keep the shul in a positive cash flow. So that's basically it. So we need $550,000, not the closing deal, but to finalize the entire portion of all phases of this deal. $550,000 to raise. We have to raise the membership. We have to have people pay more money so that we can have a positive cash flow. How are we going to raise this money? That's a beautiful question. So I try to come up with a little graph over here of how much the average person has to give. So right now we have one member that committed so far $100,000. We hope that would be a push-up for everybody to also give considerably. We have one member that says he knows somebody that can give another $50,000. So we have already $150,000 pretty much said and done. The rest of it we've broken down into $25,000 commitments, $18,000 commitments, $10,000 commitments, $5,000 and $3,600. Again, to be paid over 2 years. That's approximately how long the loan is going to go for. How long we're going to need the money, to what point. Right, of course everything will be dedicated, we'll have plaques for everything, it will all be figured out into it, and it will look very nice. We'll have like JFS in the hallway, it will be very nice.
We got a picture of Ellie Klein outside the door like that.
So again, guys, other than that, like I said, it's not an easy project to undertake. It is very hard, and I know it is expensive, and I know everyone is trying. Those are expensive. It's not so easy to come with the money, but we have to understand if we don't get this project, if we don't do this property, it's a park bench on Main Avenue. We're gonna get evicted, not evicted. I shouldn't say that. JFS is very kind to us, but they really, it's really not working for them. As far as I can see. Maybe they feel it is, I don't know. But the tables, the chairs, it's not a great setup for them, it's not a great setup for us. We really, really have to come together. We really have to do this together. At this point, I'll ask Mayor Deutsch come up here, and he'll take questions and answers. He knows pretty much everything about the project, so I'll leave it up here just in case. Thank you for your time.